Started and share some of the sales tips that I have for you today. I'm going to share my screen and let's talk about selling with confidence. Okay, so I know I've heard a lot of things today about different difficulties that people are having with their sales, like objections or competition. And we're going to cover that by starting from the very beginning. But I want to give you a quote from Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr. He says that man's mind, stretched by a new idea, never goes back to its original dimensions. And that's true. And that's why I love coaching and training, because the truth is that we never do go back to thinking the same way once we've had the experience of someone coaching us. So if there was one thing that you'd like to change about your sales method, what would that be? I would say write it down and figure out what's the one thing that you want to work on that's going to make a difference for you, give you more confidence. I will offer time management as a very good place to begin, because if we don't have time management, then we're all over the place like an octopus. And I've felt that way sometimes when starting a new business and having to do this or that and learn and get this in place and marketing. And you can be like an octopus, but I always have to put aside time, a block time for prospecting activities. So what does that mean to prospect? Well, I do some things the old-fashioned way. I still go to networking. I meet people face to face. I do coffee with people if there's a next step involved from the networking. I do social media, which I'm really learning how to do that more and more. I'm just in the beginning stages myself, but that's a great way to prospect. But the bottom line is you want to have some time, block time put aside. So what that might look like is maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday is going to be days that you do some prospecting. Now, you're not going to prospect all day unless you have one day set aside. And that's pretty hard if you have your own business, because there's all kinds of things that you have to be doing in order to make your business successful. So I would say look at Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and maybe do, hey, Maria, come on in. Hey, Maria.
Hey.
Hey,
How are you?
Good. I just got started. So I'm just talking about time management and how important it is that we put time aside to a block time for prospecting activities. So that includes networking, social media, phone calls, having coffee with people, whatever you do it's an activity that creates the possibility of bringing in a sale. So what we want to do is be productive every single day. So I mentioned Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday as possibilities for block time. What you might want to do is take Tuesday and work like from 10 a.m. to noon, and then prospect, totally focus on that. And then when you take a little break for lunch, go back and maybe you want to do 1 to 3. And then on Wednesday and Thursday, you can find some time as well. But when we have our own business, we can't prospect 8 hours a day. Because our calendar starts to fill up, then we're taking care of customers. And so it's pretty impossible to take an 8-hour day and just prospect. Maybe in the beginning you can do that, fill your funnel, but really you have to be realistic that you need specific times, block times to go do your prospecting. And what we're doing is we're looking for people who need what we have. Otherwise, we might be letting the real customer get away. If we're looking at people that don't really need what we have and we're just socializing, we could be losing customers. And there's ways to do that. And I'm going to share some techniques, some best practices that you can use to do that. And in the process, be kind to everyone, because they could be a future customer, or they might have a referral or a lead, even if they're not ready to buy from you now. But we want to be productive. And that by that, you're really, the key is to look for people who need what you have. So before you get started, when you do your time management, I would say create a plan. Who is your customer? Where are you going to find these people? What is it I have that's different than my competition? We'll talk about that in weeks to come. I truly believe there is never any direct competition because you're you. So if you have a product It's never exactly the same as somebody else's. I've learned that in all business. I've sold and learned all different kind of products. Nothing is ever exactly the same. So there is never any direct competition, but there are things you will have to compete with, and you need to know what makes you different from those things. And then what's the most important question that you can ask to discover if you're talking to a potential customer? So if you create a plan, if you sit down and say to yourself, I know who my customer is. This is where I'm going to find them today. This is how I'm going to handle any competitive questions. And what's the important questions I can ask them in order to find out what their needs are. That's a great way to start your prospecting plan, your block time. So we see in pictures, people hear in pictures. We see what we hear. So if I was to say to you, I met a banana the other day and it had on a polka dot bikini and it was driving a red Corvette. Well, I guess you saw that picture, right? Because we actually see what we hear. So you want to be able to create a great picture for your customer, but leave them behind with a picture of what it is that you do or what product you have. So for instance, what would it look like to have a life coach? I think there's a missing word there, but what would it like to have a life coach? What would it be like for you to have a life coach? Think about that picture and then create that for your customer. What would it be like to do business with me? What is it that I have to offer them? I need to create a movie so that the people can get off the phone or be done with networking and actually remember me because they saw something that I said. And then you continue that by asking them, well, what would it be like without a coach? What would happen if you didn't solve this problem? And you create a picture in their mind and literally they walk away with that picture. And we have a lot of things distracting our mind today. It's not like in the old days where I could literally do this and create a movie and know that it would stick to the next day. Now we have interruptions in social media and this and that. So we not only have to remember the picture we create, but follow up with the email if it's a potential prospect. So the number one thing that I believe is the beginning of meeting objections, conquering competition, getting sales is to start by establishing a relationship with people. Hey, Christine, come on board. We're just getting into it. So rapport is still the number one tool to building trust and credibility with a potential customer. And that is a way you uncover and appeal to their needs. So you find out, hey, is this person even a potential customer? Dale Carnegie always says, no matter what's happening, if you're looking for a customer, but you might just find a friend, he says, become genuinely interested in other people always. Because even if you don't find a customer, and you found a friend, that friend could be a referral or a lead base for you in the future. So when we're building rapport, we want to ask questions. If you're doing networking, you want to say, the first thing you want to know is what is a person's name? Because in reality, their name is the sweetest sound that they'll ever hear anywhere in the world. In fact, I messed up today and I called somebody or I sent an email by the wrong name and that person corrected me. Rightfully so, because I'm talking to them, not this other person. If somebody calls me Carol, which I hear a lot because I don't know how they relate Connie to Carol, but they do. I always correct them and say, no, my name's Connie, because it's important to me. So you want to know a person's name and make that important to them and maybe even use it a couple times so that you'll remember it. And in those questions, you want to find out about their company, their product, their service, what issues are most challenging with the company. And then you want to list. So before I go on with the next slide, I want to ask Christine and Maria, who are on the call, if you have one particular thing that you feel like you want to work on. Olive's here too. Hey, one particular thing that would help your method of sales. What would be the one thing you feel like you're struggling with right now? Janice is on too. So I only need a couple objections, but if at least two people can tell me what their biggest challenge is, I would appreciate it. So who would like to go first?
Yeah.
Maria.
I can go, certainly. So it's interesting you bring that up today. I'm finding it interesting. LinkedIn is my main platform to reach out to my prospects because I know that I am targeting women engineers, and LinkedIn is the best way to find them. They tend to be very busy women, and I'm getting a lot of really good reception as far as connection acceptance rates. So I know on some level I must be connecting with these people. Right now I'm trying to get them to join my private Facebook group, and I'm getting some responses that are like, and I know it's kind of weird, right? So I'm on LinkedIn. I'm trying to take the rapport one step further and really engage with them, I'll say, on a deeper level, because LinkedIn's kind of tough that way. Like a lot of times, like I'll get a connection, but I can't tell if they're really interested or not. So bringing them over to Facebook and doing this private Facebook group is my attempt to build more rapport. But I'm getting a lot of people to say, hey, I'm not on Facebook. So then I'm like, I'm glad that they said something, but I guess then I don't almost know where to go with the rapport.
Yeah.
So that's my current struggle.
Have you ever tried surveys? Have you ever tried saying, I'm doing a survey and I would like you to participate? And then you can actually find out more about them. And you could even put in there, I have a Facebook page, and you can put in the survey. You can ask them if just have 2-3 questions. I'm doing a survey. I could really use your help. Would you mind, as a fellow engineer, a woman engineer, to answer this survey and make it simple so they don't have to spend a lot of time?
Well, that's a great idea, because I was at least thinking that I would do a poll post on LinkedIn, but I think that's a better idea, is to do a post with a link to a Survey Monkey to ask a couple questions. That's a great idea.
Or even message them, Maria.
Yeah.
Would you mind helping me out? I'm doing this survey and I know that you will have the right answers. Message them directly, not go on LinkedIn post.
Okay.
Would that work?
Yeah. I think so, because I responded to the woman today with just in the DMs, and I haven't heard. So yeah, I think sometimes to get their attention and then to actually get that feedback, I find is a little challenging for my people. They're busy too. Yeah. And they're, like so to get any time, I think, is precious, and I want to be smart about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's a little bit of trial and error. I like the survey though, because I can at least DM her too. I can create a survey and say, hey, would you be willing to take the survey?
Yeah. Yeah. And if that doesn't work, I've got some other ideas that you can try, but that might be one action you can take that's different. I think you have to really think outside the box, because just like we have a time management issue, they also have a time management. What would make you stop what you're doing to talk to somebody?
True.
And there's some things I'm going to say that might trigger some thoughts for you. But okay. It's going to be about interest. And so I'll keep going with that, but I want to get one other person to tell me something that they are struggling with regarding their sales process. Anybody else who would like to be next?
Hi, Connie. This is Olive. So
hey, Olive.
I would say one of the struggles. So I'm in Facebook, and I know that healthy lifestyle and losing weight is very personal to a lot of people, right? Mm-hmm. And so, but I also want to do some life coaching. So not just focus on health, but some overall life coaching. And I'm just kind of stuck on how to make that pivot. So I kind of like the idea where you mentioned in LinkedIn, because I might get other customers that way.
Yeah. You know, one of the things I've been doing is offering a free 2 free sessions. Actually, I offered three free sessions to a training that I have, and out of that, I got 4 people to coach. So that was, I generated income by doing the 3 free classes. It's an 8-week class, and so they got 3 for free, and then the 5 they paid for the rest. And these women are like raving about me and referring me to people. So maybe if you give them a free information, because see, I'm all about health, and anybody that has anything to say, I'm always there. I'll take the 5-10 minutes to listen. And then if you have an offer at the end, like a next step, then it's possible that you might be able to get more people generated. And even you, Maria, I mean, you have tips that you could offer in hey, I've got a 3-minute video that's going to change the way you do things as an engineering woman. You could add that on after your survey. You know, if the survey doesn't work, do that. But free things people listen to, and you got to make it short, microwave version.
Yeah, I just did a free webinar, and I had 31 people to register.
Wow.
9 showed up. 9 showed up, and so after that, I reached out to them, but I hadn't gotten any bites. So I'm wondering, like, oh, maybe my delivery wasn't, so I probably have to work on that. But I think what I'll do is I'll do a replay and just kind of post it.
Yeah. What is your next step? I guess that's what we can work on. And I'm going to share some more things that you might get something out of too. But it sounds like your next step is got a sinkhole. And maybe that's where maybe you can work on that. So today I'm giving a whole lot of ideas on where to begin. And then after that, I'm going to do one every week. And so we'll work on these 2 things, what you're working on, Maria, and also you, Olive. And then I know there's going to be more people that have things as well. So I think about your next step. All right. For both of you, that's going to be really important. And I'm going to keep going because I think you'll find some things interesting, and it'll give you a little piece too about where you're at. So, okay, I am going to keep going with this. So establishing rapport, obviously you're both doing that. And that is really how we find people to talk to, but there's got to be like there's got to be a bridge that takes you over to the business part. And that is what we're going to talk about. If you can know your product really well, or your service, so you know that there's one thing that's a shining star, out of everybody else, and you always bring that up. That's important. Know why you represent this service or product. What is it? What's your passion? Always bring that out. Know what questions to ask, and know where your customer has pain. So Olive and Maria, where do these people have pain? How do you find out their pain? It's going to be in some question that you propose, or a survey. I could think of these busy women. What's their pain? Well, they don't have any time probably to enjoy their families. So maybe that's a pain that you could focus on. Or maybe they have a lot of employees that aren't really doing their job. Maybe it's employee retention. Who knows? But something that you can think about to reach out and find out what their pain is. And then no way do you want to waste your time or theirs. So you don't want to keep hunting after a person. You want to keep trying to generate some interest. And if it doesn't happen, listen, this is a big world. Just in America alone, there's 331 million people. If we can't find one customer out of that, we're in trouble. But we have to keep going. We can't, if someone looks good, but their time is not now to use you, you got to move on. So what's one important question that you could ask everybody you meet that pertains to your business and can create a bridge to a business conversation? Let me tell you what I mean by that. I'm going to put this. Okay, so I went out to coffee with a person that I met through another person. Someone referred me to a person, and I went to coffee because it was local, so I could do that. And in that conversation, we did rapport. We established a relationship. We found things in common. And then she actually built the bridge to talk about business. Now, most of the time we have to do that, but she was so anxious to find out about how I could help her that she asked me a question that built this bridge. Now, if I was just still building a relationship with her, rapport, or just liking this person, and I missed that bridge, I would have missed an opportunity. So her question was, I really want to know how it is that I can succeed in the business I'm in with so much competition. Can you help me? And that was where I just stopped everything and we started talking about her pain. And that created a business conversation. And I actually did get her as a coachee. So she probably was pretty ready, I think, when she came to talk to me anyway, because she was referred to me. But the bottom line is the process that we followed is something that you can follow in every single prospecting call that you make. There has to be something that says I can go to the next step and talk about what I do. If a person isn't ready or they don't want to hear, it's almost invasive for someone. Or here's a good example of that. There's somebody in a networking group that I'm in that decided he was going to put together this great contact database out of our networking, which has 1,600 people, and sell it to us. Now, I can go in and do that one by one, but he decided he was going to create this thing, and the networking gave him permission to do that. He emailed me and told me all about it. And I said, sounds good, but not right now. I'm not interested. I got another probably automatic email says, so do you want me to put together some pricing for you? And I'm like, nope, I'm not interested. Not right now, maybe in the future. And then I got another, I think, automated and said, I've got a quote for you right now. So let's talk. And I'm like, holy cow, did he even read my emails, or is it just generating emails? So I now don't want anything to do with this guy. When I see his emails, I'm deleting them because he didn't listen to me. There was no bridge. I never built a bridge to say, yes, I want to talk further. He was like, yeah, he drowned because I didn't want to talk to him at all. And that's what we never want to do. We're looking for real prospects, real people. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's keep going like this. All right. I got to move you guys over to the side so I can see what I'm talking about. All right. So in our bridge, we're going to find points of agreement. And by finding those points of agreement as we're talking to this person, and it could be a 3-minute conversation, I'm telling you, all this can happen that fast. We're lowering resistance to objections. So as we find what we agree on and what their pain is, when we get to the closing part, the resistance is not going to be there as much, or they still may have some, but a lot of times there's no resistance at all because they're ready because you answered all their questions. So when we're talking to people, you want to find the points of agreement. And if you still have barriers when you're talking to someone, then it's time to ask more questions about them. It's not time to tell them about your business. It's not time to tell them what you could do for them. It's time to ask more questions because you still haven't discovered what their pain is. So we want to interpret customer signals and identify buying and warning signals and negotiate effectively. What's stopping them from going to the next step? I have a great example. I talked to Jay. I met Jay on LinkedIn and we talked. And I have to tell you that when I first talked to him, we built such a great rapport that I knew I wanted to work with this guy one way or another. And he did listen to all of my pain. And I knew, and he gave me answers that indicated, yes, I can help you with that pain. And so I got really excited. Now, did he ask for the sale? Nope, he didn't ask for the sale because he knew that I wasn't ready. I gave him signals that said, no, I'm not quite ready, but I did give him a next step. I said, hey, I really do want to talk to you more. Okay, so I had the motive, and I'm going to talk to you about that. I had the motive and he knew it, and we made up another appointment to go to the next step. And I was pretty excited about working with him, but I had to make sure that was right for me. And I don't like to make a big decision like that overnight or just suddenly. And you can't blame a person for that because they want to make sure that they're doing the right thing for themselves and their business. So the first thing we want to look at, there's 3 M's. This is for you. And it's just a tool I learned a long time ago when I did a lot of public speaking, and I belonged to a speaking association, and the leader of this group came up with this 3 M's, and I thought it was brilliant, and I still use it today. So there's 3 M's, and as a salesperson, you can think about this and makes it simple. And when you're listening and asking questions. So I'm looking for their motive. Does this person have a motive for using my services? And that's where you build a rapport, then the bridge happens, and then they will tell you if there is a motive to actually use your service or your product through the questions that you asked. This is vital, because if there's no motive, you know, if I'm meeting with somebody that sells insurance and all my insurance is covered and I'm pretty happy with all my agents, I have no motive. So doesn't mean I wasted my time. I still establish a rapport with somebody that we can exchange referrals or leads together, but I don't have a motive to buy. So there's no sense in keep going forward with that if there's no motives. So listening skills are what we're going to talk about in the future, and that's going to be real important. Money. Do they have the money? Hey, I always ask, what does it cost? Whenever I have a motive and I'm talking to somebody and I'm interested, I'm always going to ask, what does it cost? And as a client or as a potential customer, a lot of times in your presentation, you have that in there. But if not, if the customer asks, then I always say, if somebody asks me, well, how much does this cost, Connie? If it's not like a flat price class, and maybe it has to do with my coaching where there's tiers of prices, I'll always say, I need to know more about you before I can give you prices, because I want to make sure I'm giving you the right price. I have no problem giving you prices, but if I give you all my prices, it's going to overwhelm you. Let's see what service you need, and then I'm going to make it specific to your needs. If they don't have money, but they have a motive, you don't have a customer, not today anyway. And so then you know that, and you don't want to keep trying to give them information to change their mind, to make them buy or get them to borrow the money to use you, because that's where you'll have buyer's remorse. And then that's not a good customer. You want to have 100% satisfaction in what you do. I want 100% satisfaction to my customer, or I'm going to give them their money back. So you want to make sure that they have the money. And then the motion is the last thing. And that is, if they have the motive, they have the money, now your next step happens. I gave you the example of me and Jay. The next step was a second phone call, and then a third phone call, and then a sale. So there's got to be some motion once they have motive and money. You can't just say, this is not a close, you guys. This is an ask. This is a next step. This is, I care and I do want to do business with you. And if they're ready to buy, then the motion is they're buying. But if they're not ready to buy, then the next step is what? You know, what is it going to lead them to doing business with you? Now, before I keep going, I want to get some feedback and see if you have any questions. Okay. So anybody have any questions about what I've said so far? No? Okay. Then we're going to keep going. So once you have motion, now you have an engaged person, a customer, potential customer, who is going to make a decision to buy your service or product. And the result is you were prepared, you had a plan, you built rapport, you asked the right questions to find their pain, and you listened, and then you met a need. So now you put the sale into motion. And this is where you make that person number one on your list. Okay, if you had a funnel, they fell out of it. So you want to make sure that you're catching them and they're become your priority. Sometimes, because when we're prospecting, we kind of leave that person behind that we wrote a proposal to. There's got to be a constant follow-up, and there's got to be a next step. So so make sure that you have that in your process, that you have the next step for that person's very important. So what's the next step after you have emotion? This is something for you to think about for yourself. It's a part of the process I'm going to talk about in the weeks to come, but I'm just going to give you a setup, a foundation. So there's a a should be. And that's a state of mind that you have that says, I should be able to make this sale, or I should be able to meet this person's needs. My product will, or my service will. You want to have that in your head or on paper, what you're going to do for this person. My proposals are actually set up around these 4 things. I don't put should be, as is, barrier, and engage, but I form my my agreement with these things in mind, so that the person feels confident they're going to get what they paid for. What's the long term that they'll benefit from? And if they could have it any way they wanted, before I write an agreement, I find that out and I make sure that it's in there. And then the as is the reality. So where are they today? Where are they right now? What kind of pain do they have? Can they tell me more about that, so I learn as much as I can and I can address that? How does it affect their daily living, their business, their sales, their company? If you could have it any way you wanted, and I ask that again, then they will tell me that this is the ideal thing that I want. And then there's the barriers. You know, what will stop you from doing business with me? Who else will be a part of the decision making? And do you have any other questions? I want to make sure that I don't have any. I can tell you that I had $1 million sale with NCR once, and I worked on it for 6 months. And when I went to pick up the check, it turned out that there was a thing happening in the world, and they decided training was going to be put on the back burner, and it was put into suspension. And the thing that really blew me away is that the person that I was talking to all along said she could make the decision, but that day when I was there, corporate called and they made the decision. And so I had put 6 months of my life into that. She cried, but I put 6 months into it because I never asked, hey, is there anybody else making this decision with you? You know, like your husband, or, you know, something like that. If it's a coaching situation, or what's going to stop you from doing business with me? I ask those questions now because I don't ever want that to happen again. So those are things that you want to know, any possible barriers that could stop you once you've got this sale in motion. And then the engaging part is, you know, always ask for the sale with confidence. The worst they could say is no. And that's not even the worst, because no can be not right now. I can't do it today. I don't have the money. It doesn't mean forever. It's somebody that you can keep in your funnel. I would put them back in the top and work on them at a later date. And also just keep in touch with them with, if you have a newsletter or emails that you send out or something, just keep them in the loop. Okay. So the challenge that you know, we always have, that I think that one, and I've worked with a lot of new sales people, but maybe for you guys this might not apply, but it's a reminder to always be prepared and expect to get favorable results, whatever you do. Build relationships above all. That's, Maria, for you. You want to build relationships with these people because they don't have a lot of time. So you want to help them to find a reason to talk to you. Learn to listen. Learn to ask questions so that you know what they need. And know the process and follow a system. You're going to develop your best practices out of some of my tips because you're you, and they're going to work for you. You may not like one thing I say, but you can transform it into something that works for you. And then engage your customers always. And then the benefit is you get loyal customers who will refer you. Your time will be managed well, and you'll have success, and you'll be an expert. And I can tell you, the loyal customer thing may not mean a lot to some people, but I have customers I did business with 40 years ago, and I still talk to them, and they still refer me. And whenever I'm doing something, I'm always contacting them and saying, hey, this is what I'm doing. You know, they no longer are in business. They're actually retired at this point, but they still get really excited about hearing from me. So that's a benefit if you create a relationship with somebody. Okay, so that's the end of my presentation. So now I want to know, what I want to do with you guys is just learn how I can serve you and what kind of information, what are you looking for in these sales calls? I'm going to keep them down to like, 30, 40 minutes. If we can go an hour, if I have a lot of people and they have a lot of questions, but I really want to know how I can help people and also manage time so that I can value your time. So I only have Maria and Olive on here right now. So, what you guys get to be the spotlight. So do you have any suggestions of what you'd like to get out of this training? Okay. Yeah.
I'll go. I guess I'll go. So, there are like, what I'm finding is certainly for me in these, I'll say these early stages, right? I'm just still trying to figure out the best use of my time for prospecting. So, I don't know, I guess the biggest thing right now is my time is so valuable. I do have time. And what I find is that it's easy to get scheduled into following an activity that someone suggests as like a good idea. But, I don't know, like I said today, between this whole, LinkedIn and Facebook thing and the whole Rapport, it can inspire activity that may not be helpful. And right now, I guess that's my biggest thing is just anything that could keep me consistent and out of overwhelm with a strategy of focus.
Okay.
So that, as we entertain, these, I'll say, kind of like the general ideas to make that concrete in my world so that I can kind of take that information and be like, oh, maybe this is the best thing to do as my next step so that I keep that pulse with my audience and it becomes more of a natural thing. I'll say, I don't mind adding a little bit of activity to refine, getting myself moving forward. But right now it just feels like, I don't know, like, and maybe it's not a big deal, but I've been on LinkedIn a lot and I hear like LinkedIn groups are dead, so I don't know whether to spend time and, try and stay on LinkedIn and create a group there. If, like the whole idea of doing that can get me very, very distracted and then off track as I'm trying to launch, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. So here's what I hear, Maria. I hear that you're kind of at a impasse, where you maybe what you did before was working, but we live in a new world for sure. So now we have to go this other way and finding, you're paving it. You've got like the hacksaw and you're knocking things down as you go along because it's not a paved path for you.
Yeah.
And prospecting to me on LinkedIn with what, where you're starting with the people that you're looking for, I think is a really good place to go. But if you don't block your time out and you just do that, then you're going to be scattered like you feel right now. So I think if I said one thing, and I don't know, I'd like to ask you, what was the one thing I might have mentioned today that you think you could use, not have to be overwhelmed and pile on another pile? Was one thing.
Well, I guess, the idea of blocking my time and using it wisely.
Yes.
Like, I don't mind blocking. I can block my time and I do good there. But it's then, what are the really absolute bare bones? This is what has to get done on a regular basis. to move forward and get to the end result, and that's filling the pipeline and getting the clients.
All right. So let me ask you this. If you know, when I block time, I literally have a big piece of paper that says block time in bold letters, and what time I'm doing it, I talk to myself because I don't have anybody around. And when I'm coaching somebody, I give them that block time. So I'll send it to you by email. Because I think that if you say to yourself, from this time to this time, I am going to do nothing but figure out if my prospecting method is working. And you do what you're doing right now, contact people, write a survey, do some think tanking with some of us so that we can come up with other ideas for you to contact them. I would do direct messages versus just putting in on LinkedIn, and really go forward with them and offer something to them that's not going to take up a lot of their time, but it will create an interest in you. And we'll figure that out. I don't have that, but I think with a little bit of talking, like a little brain thinking here, we can come up with something really spectacular. That's one little question or one little survey or just one that you could use for everybody. And it will make them answer a question.
Okay.
I know if I'm in person and I'm networking and I ask one question, I'll say this, and I always get this long conversation. Okay. If there was one thing that you could change in your life today, what would that be? And people always answer me, and it gets into getting to know deep levels of them. Sometimes it depends on who you're talking to, but a lot of people are good talkers, and that they'll tell you something that happened to them when they were 10, and why that affects what they're doing today. So that's getting to know a person on a deeper level. And I can hear whatever pain they have. As a coach, I can figure out if I have something for them and offer it to them. I also have to find out the money and all that. But if you could do the block time for just 2 days, maybe.
I mean, I can actually, I can do it every day.
Yeah, but then you're not going to do it. What's going to happen is you're going to start filling your calendar. So you want to be able to do it now to fill your calendar and then do it in smaller portions in the future. Okay. But right now you're saying you have lots of time, but I still want to know, I'm going to coach you on this. I'd still like to know when you're going to do that.
When am I going to block the time?
Yeah.
Yeah, because as a matter of fact, I just recently went back in and adjusted my calendar to be specific on when I entertain certain appointments.
Okay.
So, and I guess, on some level right now, I don't have clients, so the time that I have, technically, I guess, for prospecting is also going to be coaching hours once I get my clients. So, I'll say it'll fill naturally, but I mean, I don't book appointments until like 11 a.m. at the earliest.
Okay.
And I'm at my computer at 8 a.m. So from 8 to 11 every day, that's where I would say, like, I can block that time to do my messaging strategy on LinkedIn.
Okay.
And that's where I get these book calls for my afternoons.
Right. Okay.
And they're not, right now, it's still prospecting calls. It's not client calls yet.
Yes.
So I find that interesting that, I mean, at some point I won't need to prospect as much, and I'll fill it with coaching, but the way I have the Calendly set up, it's going to happen naturally.
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying?
I do, but I think that when you actually get a phone call of somebody that can do a 15-minute breakthrough or something like that, you've gone from prospecting to motive. You've prospected them and you've got the opportunity to talk to them. So prospecting is really finding people to talk to, and then you get to talk to them. So then they become potential clients. Prospecting is hunting. So now the arrow's out, you got them. And now the next thing is to, ask the questions and find out their pain. Okay. So when you're prospecting from 8 to 11, you're looking for people to talk to. They know
Yeah.
they're no longer, you're no longer prospecting once you get them. Now you're looking for the motive. Okay. Now
Okay.
you're building rapport. It's two different things. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
And
So
yeah,
yeah,
and that,
prospecting is like hunting.
okay.
You're hunting.
Yeah. So then I'm doing pretty good.
Yes, you are, but I think that I can hear some anxiety because you don't feel like you're getting to where you want to go. And I think
Yes.
that if you do what you're doing, if you prospect those certain hours and you get to talk to people, then you've got the motive, then you're looking for the motive, money, and motion. And maybe it's in the close or the asking that you might have some need. That might
Okay.
be your pain, maybe
That's
asking.
yeah. Yeah.
So, and we'll work on that because they would not be talking to you if they didn't have some need.
Okay. That's good to hear.
Yeah. And now you just need to, find out where the pain is, because it's almost like you need to see them coming with you with a Band-Aid on. I got this pain and I really need to talk to Maria. Maybe she could take it off. Maybe
Yeah.
she can help me. I mean, really, we do think like that in our heads, but we don't express it because we're business people. But there is this thing going on inside of us that says, oh, somebody needs to help me with this,
Okay.
So when you get to talk to somebody, that's what they're thinking.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. That's good info.
And I do think that steps help us to stay organized in our time. So prospecting, then you get to have your breakthrough calls, then you do your marketing or whatever. I think that planning our day, believe it or not, it only takes 5 minutes to do it in the morning, will make you a better, get the best practices as possible for Maria. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm not trying to dump on you. I'm just trying to get you to think different. So,
Yes. I do
yeah.
think I need to think different because, now I'm launching or trying to launch, right? So I'm getting caught up in the frenzy of all this social media posting.
That's what I hear. I hear frenzy.
Yeah. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. And take the
it's just-
trying word out of your vocabulary. I mean, I take
say
the
that
trying.
again.
When you say I'm trying, we used to have this little technique in Dale Carnegie, and this was in person, when somebody say, I'm trying to do that. And then we say, okay, just put your both feet down on the floor and just try to lift your right leg. And then they lift their leg. No, don't lift it. Just try. Because that means you're doing nothing at all. Okay. So you are doing so much.
Yeah.
And the frenzy, I think I get a lot of support. I'm one of those people that know I'm very supportive, but I need support. So when I'm really stuck, man, I call a lot of people, and I've talked to you, and I will call people. So don't hesitate. You've got a whole team of people here that care. It does not hurt to say, I need 5 minutes of encouragement, and know, especially as we get to know each other, I'll be able to know exactly what that means,
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Cool.
I hope. Okay. Are you okay? Are you okay?
No.
No. All right. Well, I have one more question for you. What's making the most anxiety right this minute? What's giving you the most anxiety? Olive, you're next.
So I'll say quickly that, so now I came to this, like today I have a block of time and it's like almost 3:00.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I know, right? So like most of my day is now done. Like it just seems like the one thing that I was supposed to do, the important thing, didn't get done, which is not totally true. That's not totally true, but yeah, I just feel like this whole thing pulling me in this other direction, and I don't know if it's important to do really.
Yeah,
And
that's
at
the
the end of the day, if like I cut everything out and just do the really important thing, like what is that supposed to really be?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's Monday, and we don't always prospect on Monday because Monday's a catch-up day. So the next couple hours that you have left, plan for tomorrow, how successful you're going to be with
Oh.
some new practices. Okay.
Okay.
Or what you're doing that's working. I mean, you don't have to change anything if it's working, but just take the next 2 hours, plan for tomorrow. That's
Okay.
productive. Okay. Tomorrow you'll be flying.
Yes, I do love that part.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Connie.
You're welcome. And Olive, what's the one thing you took from today, and how can I help you?
Trying to unmute.
You're off mute.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think the one thing is developing a consistent pattern. Like you were saying, like for me, I try to from 9 to 2 because I just retired, right? And I find that I'm just spending so much time on social media and reaching out and all that. And I'm like, and I don't want that anxiety because I retired and I know when you start up a business, you have to put work in. I get that. And, and so I make myself get on front of this computer every day from either 9 to 2 or 8 to 2. Well, today is 3. I'll probably be on until 3 o'clock every day. And then I'll come back and recheck. But I think I just gotta figure out how I can get past that circle of friends. Those are like your friends that like what you say and give you the thumbs up, but then they're not, willing to purchase or invest, right? And so I gotta figure out a way to get over that hump of that little circle and get to another layer of circle of and I get that people are watching because sometimes I'll get a text like, oh man, you're doing a really good job. I enjoy your motivation. I don't see them and they don't respond to my emails, but they may text or something like that. A young lady texts and say, hey, one of my good friends is a good friend with you. And she said that you do these awesome motivation. And so I was just reaching out to say hello, but I don't see that on Facebook, right?
Oh, okay.
So I guess, I just gotta keep posting. I don't know if my messaging, I just wanna, get past that friend circle and get to another level of circle that, where people are, like, okay, yeah, I think I want to hear what she has to say. So
when did you start, when did you launch your business out?
I just started like maybe 3 months ago.
Okay.
So literally just started.
So you practiced on your friends. You're done practicing. Now you want to do the action. Now you want to be serious. And okay, you've got those people. You never know, they could refer somebody, but most likely they are more just people you got to practice on. And so now you want to go after people that you don't know and people that potentially will pay you. So we'll work on that because I don't know. I need to know more about you, and maybe we can talk. We'll do a Zoom or something together. I need to know more about you and what you charge and what your process is, so that I could come up with some ideas or best practices for you to go after people. I can tell you that I've been selling, listen, for 50 years. Okay, seriously. Actually more than that. I started when I was 14 and that goes past 50 years, but I'm just going to tell you 50. And I've sold millions and millions and millions of dollars for other people. And then I started going off on my own and I was able to sell thousands and thousands of dollars for myself. I broke off this time so that I could sell hundreds of thousands of dollars because I don't want to be satisfied with just the thousands. And it's a whole new world out there with social media, but you can still do the old practice stuff, the old fashioned way too. You can still go do a class, but it sounds like to me for what you do, there are a lot of people looking for classes and to improve their bodies and their health, but you have to find the ones that are willing to pay. And that's what we're going to have to work on. There are people that are willing to pay. I mean, for sure. I have a friend that does exercise and she doesn't charge. People ask me, well, how much does she charge? Can you imagine? She doesn't charge. She just does these things, and I got her to now charge by the hour, but she's just not even charging what she deserves, So we have to, as a group, the three of us will figure out some ways that we can find the people that are going to pay. And I know they're out there. Jay finds them, and his method really is the phone calls, the breakthroughs, and finding the pain and meeting that. And we could do that too. We'll do it together. So Olive, I'm going to send you an appointment thing so that we can talk. And then Maria, you and I can talk anytime, but don't feel overwhelmed. Okay. I mean, I'm just today I built a foundation. I give you a lot of ideas, but the bottom line that what I wanted to stress today was time management and rapport. Those two things, because if you can manage your time, then you're going to have amazing things happen. And if you can create rapport, it does fill up your funnel and it does get pregnant and deliver. And then once it starts delivering, you could have quadruplets, okay, or whatever that is. What is it? Septuplets or octuplets? You get a whole bunch of people coming out. So,
yeah. Okay, I saw your post you did it through the Ninja, right? 7-figure sale with Jay.
Yeah. You want to talk about that? Because I really messed up. I don't. Hey,
so I'm just asking, is this like a separate class with you, or how does this work, Connie?
It's every Monday at 1 o'clock. I'm going to be delivering a tip on sales and getting to talk to y'all. And then, my key is to find out what everybody needs. I have a lot of ideas, and I can, if people don't want to talk, or they don't, if they just want to hear tips, then I have, I'll be doing PowerPoints like I did today. But
okay.
I am really interested in finding out what people need and giving you some best practices I've learned over the years. And also we can do a little group coaching and give each other's ideas. Okay. I want to keep it down to a half hour, an hour. If we have a lot of people, we'll do a whole hour. We did an hour today because it's the first time, but I don't want to take up a lot of your time. Okay. I want to make sure that whatever I'm zeroing in on, it actually relates to what you need. All right. And I'm just finding out. I mean, you guys shared with me a little bit. I can tell maybe some ways I can help you. And I will tell you, I'm working on myself the block time of prospecting because I've been in such a learning mode. And fortunately, I've had the money and I've been able to get some classes on the side in person that I'm okay. But I'm telling you, I have got to learn this prospecting thing online. That's my goal. That's what I want. So I'm along with you guys learning. I see the potential. I just haven't had the time to really do it the way I know it can be done, like Maria's doing it. So, yeah, I think it's a major tool. Like, I'm excited about it. I just need to actually do that prospecting myself. I'm still doing the old fashioned way, going and meeting people and using the gas, So, okay, you guys have a great rest of Monday and call me anytime and I'll send you a calendar and I'll talk to you. I'm sure I'll talk to you before next Monday, but in the meantime, I'll see you Monday. Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much, Connie. Thank you.
All right. Bye.